I think it's hogwash that the camera follows the ball. We want to watch the offensive line, and when the camera follows the ball, you can't see what the offensive line is doing. So I want to go on my soapbox and say it's hogwash. I want an offensive line camera. I want our own channel, and I'm saying it now, and I'll keep saying it until they finally give us one.
Week 6 of NFL 2021. This is Big Man Bets with the Hall of Famer, Super Bowl champion, proud left tackle of the greatest show on turf, Orlando Pace, and New York Jet for life, 7-time Pro Bowler on the Hall of Fame ballot, and now master of the UK, crushing steak and ale pie, making friends with the royal family, and Nick Mangold, perhaps rightly accused of poor parenting in front of the Leaning Tower of Pisa. You might have to explain yourself if people are checking your media. I see kids falling in pictures. I'm a little upset. I'm not upset, but I find it to be very entertaining. So congratulations on just showing everything that happens on a family trip.
Just doing what we can. That is the amazing idea of live photos, that we were able to catch that moment where my son, who is my third, he is the wild child of the family, and of all the people to go flipping over a banister, it would be him. And amazingly, unfortunately, it didn't go long enough because he actually did complete the full flip, landed on his feet, and he was fine. So it all worked out, but it embodied the perfect trying to get the nice picture, in a scenic tourist spot, and failing miserably.
Orlando, I don't know if you've seen this one, but it's good stuff. All right, gentlemen, we got a lot of stuff on the plate today, and we're going to start with the biggest news in the NFL, that John Gruden is no longer with the Las Vegas Raiders and resigning under tumultuous circumstances, I'm guessing because he was basically told you're either getting fired or you have to resign. Orlando, let's start with you. Does this surprise you, what's happened with Gruden with the Raiders and his future in the NFL and media?
It really hadn't surprised me. I think when you come out and via email and make those statements, obviously the National Football League, they have to get in front of that. And personally, when news first broke, he lost about 70% of that locker room. If let's just say 70% of those guys are African Americans, it's hard as players to follow a guy like that once those statements were made. So I thought, though, regardless of what guys came out and said, and I know they wanted to come out publicly and support John Gruden, but still, I think he lost a large percentage of that locker room, no matter what they were saying. And then as more information came out, I thought it was going to be troubling for him. For him to keep his job. And in the NFL, obviously, they don't want the rest of those emails get out because there's somebody on the other end of those emails that was receiving it, and you never know if they were using the same type of language. So I think the Raiders did what's best for them to get in front of it, try to cut ties with John Gruden, and the National Football League definitely doesn't want any more emails to get out. They're trying to get away from, obviously racist tones and homophobic tones and those type of things. So I think it's best for all parties to part ways. And for in terms of coaching, doing media, I think John Gruden's career is over in terms of all of those things. So.
Yeah, to me, I was kind of shocked because, being on a different time difference here, I woke up and I was kind of just scrolling through the old Twitter. And at first I thought it was a joke that Gruden had resigned. I was like, well, when did all this happen? So I was a little late to the party catching up on everything. And to me, I think the things that are said in the email obviously are very frowned upon, and, obviously are not what anyone would be looking for from not only a head coach, but just a human in general. But what I find kind of crazy is the way that it was very specific of these 650,000 emails, that these 7 or so were the ones that were leaked out. And then that specifically, applied to Gruden and the things that he said. And the fact that, where a lot of times, guys will get in trouble for things that they've said or, that they've put into writing. not only in the football world, but, in politics and real world, CEOs and all that stuff. And usually it just goes to you come out, you apologize, you go to sensitivity training, and, you just fold right back in. So the fact that it was very quick and swift that he was told to resign, or that he thought he needed to resign, really throws kind of just this whole thing into this weird realm of what else is going on behind that NFL shield. There's so much more, there's so many more emails. There's so much more going on to have such a quick reaction. And for it to go from, all right, there were a couple of emails where he said some disparaging remarks to, all right, I'm resigning. And it happened so quick without the chance for the apology. I'm not that same person anymore. What you usually get out of it just kind of strikes me as odd. And I don't know where we take that. I don't know, how much further down the rabbit hole anyone is willing to look. But it's one of those things that, I feel like it's either they're hiding something else, or someone really wanted Gruden out of the job. Whether, be from the NFL, someone else, someone, that has some other force that, we don't even know about. But something came down where you have 650,000 emails. That's a lot of emails.
It's a lot of emails.
And for only 7 of them, or, however many came out, whatever that small number was, to specifically deal with Gruden, makes me believe that there's, 643,999 that are still sitting there that people are like, well, what's in those? And yep. We're never going to know.
Yeah, I was just looking at a report this morning, and the NFLPA wants the NFL to release the rest of those emails so everybody can see, which is, to your point, Nick, there's something in those emails that made the Las Vegas Raiders, the NFL, for them to make that decision to part ways with John Gruden. Or maybe there's somebody else on the other end in terms of an owner or somebody like that they're trying to protect as well. So, obviously in this day and age, you can't have that type of behavior. And I think they recognize that part of it. So they decided to part ways. But I'm with you. I think there's a lot more in those emails that need to come out, or, whatever. So,
and I'd be willing to bet that Gruden gets the rest of the money in his contract to keep quiet.
Yeah, that was another thing I thought about too, because if you say something 10 years ago when you weren't an NFL coach, is that still contract detrimental when you didn't, obviously before you even signed the contract? He didn't do anything during the current time. So I'm sure he'll probably lawyer up if they decide not to try to pay him the rest of his $100 million contract.
Exactly.
The people that I've talked to, though, a lot of it's coming out I'm not surprised at all that this is going on with John Gruden. Like, this was something that was known but not talked about, apparently. Had you guys ever had any knowledge that Gruden had this side to him?
Yeah, I don't know John Gruden personally. I've had a couple conversations with him. Don't know what type of guy he is. So, I had no idea. I'm assuming that, obviously culture-wise, time, all those things, but had no idea what type of guy he was.
Yeah, I mean, I had, the production meetings with him whenever we had a game where he was calling the game. But other than that, I never had, and that was all ball and never really talking anything else. It's funny, and it's nothing on the same level, obviously, of the Harvey Weinstein, but everyone always said, well, it's an open secret. We all knew that type of thing. If everyone knows, why don't they say something before the dominoes fall? I don't understand the people that come out of the woodwork later and be like, oh yeah, we knew he was a bad person. We just all went with it. Like, doesn't that kind of implicate yourself and being like, oh yeah, we knew these bad things were going on. We didn't say anything, but we all knew it.
Yeah. My point is, who did he piss off? How did the news break? He had to piss somebody off in a major way for them to say, hey, we have this information about you and we're going to release this information to everybody. So somebody's been holding on to that. And there's been conspiracy theory after conspiracy theory in terms of how they got out. Are the Raiders trying to get out from under this contract? And, it's DeMaurice Smith. I know he's up for election again. Did he put him out just to make, so there's a lot of conspiracy theories out there. So just wanted to know, I don't know who John Gruden pissed off, but they got him back pretty good on this one.
Yeah, they did.
All right, let's go on the field. And one of the biggest stories in the NFL right now is the struggles in Kansas City. Another loss on Sunday night. Buffalo looking like the far better team. Let's just pick apart the AFC for a second, then we'll get to the NFC. Best team in the AFC right now. Nick, who do you think it is?
For me, that's easy. They showed it this weekend, beating up on Kansas City. Buffalo Bills, I think, are leading this division, or this conference. They're rolling, and like I said, they had that stumbling block against Pittsburgh week 1 that kind of slapped them in the face and said, hey, listen, you guys are still human. You got to go out there and play. And they've been playing like their hair's on fire since then. And so they're on the top for me, easy.
Yeah, I agree with you, Nick. Buffalo, with Josh Allen, he's doing out there quarterback their whole entire team, winning games. I will say, for the sake of conversation, what Lamar Jackson did in with Baltimore Monday night was phenomenal. They're a tough team to beat. I don't know if it'll last long term, but right now, with him at quarterback, obviously he's tough to stop, and he's just gaining confidence and more momentum, with each win. So exciting to watch him play. But I think they, obviously when the playoffs, you have to run the ball and keep, be able to convert on third down. So, but right now they're a close second for me, but Buffalo's number 1. And then, obviously Baltimore right up there in the mix.
Interesting. No mention of the Chargers here. What's the shade on Brandon Staley's crew? Anybody just not buying into the quarterback and or something else?
No, I don't know. I'm not buying the Chargers yet, just because. And listen, I like the quarterback out there. I think he's doing a phenomenal job. I don't know yet. The jury's still on them. Bills, I do know they're just trouncing everybody. So I'm going with a known commodity here. And, maybe by the time we get to week 12, 13, we might have a better debate, but as of right now, it's Bills for me all the way.
Yeah, I agree. I'll heard the verdict, although I like what Herbert's doing out in Los Angeles. Just want to see if they can get some more quality wins under the belt, how they play against, can they beat KC again? Obviously play the Raiders and Denver, see how they do through their division. Obviously Josh Allen's a little more battle tested. I know he's made a playoff run before. So just waiting to see, obviously what he does. So, but they're a close third as well.
All right, NFC-wise, we have the undefeated Arizona Cardinals, and then 4 teams at 4-1: the Rams, the Bucks, the Packers, and yes, the Dallas Cowboys. Orlando, who's your top in the NFC?
You know what? I think a lot of people will talk about Arizona, but what Tom Brady and Tampa Bay is doing, I think they're still the favorites for me. My Rams are doing well. I think they'll show up big in the playoff time. But I think what Tom Brady and that team down there doing, what they're doing is great. They have so much confidence coming off a Super Bowl victory. They feel unstoppable. But they're just quietly going about their business. They'll let everybody talk about Arizona and obviously Dallas. Their fans will talk about themselves and their team, but for me, I think it's Tampa. I was saying Tampa Bay and what they're doing right now.
I love the Orlando shade to the Dallas Cowboys fans. It's one of my new things that I never knew about Orlando Pace. But I'm here for it week in and week out. For me, NFC. So, yes, the Buccaneers are just kind of going about their business. They're grinding away. And I feel like for the Cardinals, everyone is just waiting for the other shoe to drop. They're undefeated right now, but everyone's like, they're going to crash and burn at some point. And then we'll go back to talking about the Buccaneers and Green Bay. So for me, I'm still going to ride the Cardinals until that other shoe does drop. I think it's fun. It's they're playing great ball out there. It's neat to see them out in the desert doing their thing. So I'm going to ride the Cardinals. I'm not as much of a Cowboys hater as Orlando. So I do like what they're doing down there. But when you're staring down Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady as the other 2 quarterbacks, at the top of that division or at the top of that conference, it's tough. And for me, I don't think there's a clear, wide open, hey, this is number 1 like the AFC. I think the NFC is still a very crowded division. You kind of let the cream rise to the top as we go along here, because right now everyone's doing great, but they're all doing great together. And we need to start picking some guys off. And I think that'll happen down the field. But right now, for me, I'm going to ride the hot hand of Arizona until that other shoe drops, which I know everyone's waiting for. I am too, but for the time being, I'm going to ride it.
In that crowded AFC, if one of these two teams doesn't make the playoffs, who would it be between the Cleveland Browns and the Kansas City Chiefs?
Everyone knows I'm a Cleveland hater. So I'm going to say that, the Browns aren't going to make it. But Kansas City needs to figure their stuff out. They have Patrick Mahomes, it's great talent. But as we can see, if you can't play defense, that talent's going to be wasted. So, I think Cleveland's still going strong. I like what they're doing and like how they're playing. And so to me, if you were to end it now, I would say Cleveland should be in over Kansas City.
Yeah, I think even though I love the Browns and it's my childhood team, but obviously what Patrick Mahomes is doing, he's battle tested and he's the better quarterback. He can actually win ball games for you down the stretch, and they've been there, tough ball games. They understand what they need to do, and I think they'll right the ship. Andy Reid, obviously he'll get that defense going a little bit, but Patrick may have to score 40 points a game in order for them to make a nice playoff run. But obviously that's why he's getting paid all the big bucks as well. Put all the pressure on his shoulders, go out and perform, and then obviously they'll get some wins just based off coaching and talent.
Panthers, Bears, Saints. One of those three makes the playoffs. Who do you think it will be, Orlando?
I'm going with probably the Saints. I would say the Saints. I think just what they're doing down there, I think they have a really good defense. And then Jameis, he has a great arm. If he can not throw it to the other team, I think they'll be fine. And they have, obviously, when you look at the Bears, you have the Packers. You have, that's probably going to own that division there. And they have a rookie cornerback. So I'm going to go with the New Orleans Saints, Sean Payton down there to make the playoffs.
Yeah, New Orleans. I mean, Sean Payton is fantastic on his defense. I just Jameis scared. It's like, what Jameis are you getting? Are you getting the good Jameis? Or you getting the bad Jameis? And then some games you get the good Jameis and the bad Jameis all in one game. And you just see him keep like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde just keeps flip flopping. But between the Bears and New Orleans, I definitely got to go to the Saints.
No love for Chicago. That's okay. You guys can figure out the Justin Fields Ohio State Buckeye formula along with that defense down the line here. All right, let's go to topic 3 here. And we're looking at the quarterbacks again. And after what we've seen so far this year, which quarterback would you build around if you're picking number 1 today? We got Patrick Mahomes. We've got Justin Herbert. We've got Kyler Murray, Josh Allen, and Lamar Jackson. On this October the 13th, going into week 6, you got the number 1 pick. Who you taking, Nick?
And you look at it, and I think you could go with any of them, and somebody would say you're dead on, and someone would say, well, you're an idiot. And so I'm going to try to choose with my own opinion, knowing that people are going to call me idiot. I get that enough, around the house. To me personally, it comes down to Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen. I think those are 2. Patrick Mahomes, I think, has just an incredible talent and ability to win games himself. Josh Allen, I think, also has an incredible talent and uses the weapons around him. And he's got that big body. I like that because he's able to take more of a hit than I think Patrick can. And so for me, I'm going to go Josh Allen, who has similar characteristics of Patrick, but he's bigger, can take the hit, and I think will last longer as we go through this season and into the playoffs.
Yeah, I think it's easy. When you look at arm talent, obviously what Patrick Mahomes could do and Josh Allen, for me, it's probably Patrick Mahomes. I think for the most part, just because what he's won in the past, and he's a special kid. Josh Allen, I noticed a little bit in the playoffs last year. He get a little erratic when the pressure's on the line. Like he may flip the ball off to somebody or he's real careless with the ball. Lamar Jackson's careless with the ball a little bit. He fumbled a few times Monday night. But for me, if I'm starting the ball club and I'm the GM, I got to go with Patrick Mahomes.
Who would be your number 2 in the group, Orlando?
I probably would go with Lamar Jackson, just because what he does. He's so special with the ball, both passing and running. It's not bad for a running back, as they touted him when he came out of the draft. So, he's played phenomenal this year. So he'll probably be my number 2.
When you look at yeah, go ahead, Nick. Go ahead.
I mean, that's a good pick. I think for me, I would take Patrick Mahomes. When it came down to Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes, obviously I'm going to take Mahomes after that. I like Lamar. I just don't see, and I'm a Lamar fan. I just don't see him able to continue doing what he's been doing through the course of the season, and then through the course of the rest of the career. He's pulling games out like a magician. Rabbit out of the hat, and you can only do that for so long. That's not the way to sustain success. So, I do like him now. I love watching him play. I think it's exciting, and you never count him out. But I just don't think that's a long-term solution.
When do you know that a young quarterback is sort of moved into vet role? Like, okay, Kyler is legit. Herbert's legit. I'm confident. Is there something that you guys can actually point to that you see like, okay, this is real and it's not going away?
I think for me in big games, once you see a young quarterback in clutch moments, and then you see his leadership show up, you see his skill level show up. It could be a 3rd and 10, you guys are down by 3, and he makes a phenomenal throw, and he's encouraging guys. So the bigger the game and the bigger the clutch moment, you see how young guys react in those moments. It really says a lot about their leadership and where they are, and when they really have arrived, in my opinion. So just in those tight, tough moments.
Yeah, I'd piggyback on that from what Orlando was saying. Where they rise to that occasion. I think they're able to rise to that occasion, and this is something that we will never be able to know because we're not in the meetings and everything. But I feel like watching enough rookie quarterbacks go through it. And young quarterbacks, when they get to an understanding of the offense where they're no longer learning the plays, but teaching the plays to younger guys or to other guys, in the system alongside either the quarterback coach or the offensive coordinator, that's when you know that they've arrived into their own. When they have enough faith in what they've learned and enough faith in the offense that they know that they can go tell it to someone else, that's when that light bulb is clicked on and like, all right, I have ownership of what we're doing and we can go forward. And I think that allows them to make those clutch plays, a big 3rd down, a big touchdown in the red zone, because they have ownership of that offense, which only gets there by, repetition, but then, having your head in the book and seeing not only, the drawing on paper where you can say, all right, this is what this play is supposed to look like, but the real world experience say, all right, this is what it's supposed to look like. But if this happens and that happens, this switches and this changes, we can do this. So that complete knowledge of the offense, I think for me, and unfortunately you never get to see it because we're not in those meetings, but for me, that's when a player goes from a young quarterback to a wily vet.
Makes a ton of sense. All right, let's move. And I mean this in a beautiful way. The big uglies up front. Best offensive line in the NFL this year. Your top rushing teams, the Browns, Cowboys, Titans, Ravens, Bills. Teams that are giving up the fewest sacks are the Rams, the Bills, Washington, Chiefs, and Falcons. A lot of ways to look at this. Orlando, do you got a offensive line that you look at right now that, you know what, that is the best place to be right now if you're a quarterback and or running back?
Yeah, I think what those Cowboys are doing down there with their offensive line, Tyron Smith, Zach Martin, those guys down there, they're finally healthy, I think is the key. And they're opening up some holes for Zeke. So he's having a great year, start to his year. So I like what they're doing down there. As long as they can continue to stay healthy, there's a lot of money up there, a lot of first round picks up there. So glad to see that they're healthy and performing well. And what Buffalo's doing quietly, you don't know a lot of guys on that offensive line, but they're still protecting guys and opening up some holes. So I'm excited to watch both of those offensive lines do their thing. But for me, it's the Dallas Cowboys offensive line.
I think that's a very sexy pick of the Dallas Cowboys. Especially with Zeke running the ball. that it just has a good feel to it. I like what the Cleveland Browns are doing. They have a good plan. They have good execution. They don't have a bunch of first rounders like Dallas does. So they're doing it with some younger guys and lesser name guys. But they're doing very well. And I think they bought into the system. And it's one of those teams when, you're watching the Red Zone channel, you get to see the little snippets here and there. But again, I will get on my soapbox, put my hand up. I think it's hogwash that the camera follows the ball. We want to watch the offensive line. And when the camera follows the ball, you can't see what the offensive line is doing. So I want to go on my soapbox and say it's hogwash. I want an offensive line camera. I want our own channel. And I'm saying it now, and I'll keep saying it until they finally give us one.
Who's your number one offensive line guy that you like to watch today? I.e., maybe you're the best offensive lineman in football in your mind, or just somebody whose technique, I don't know, something along those lines.
See, that goes to my point. Like I asked this last week at the Jets game while we're in the UK. They're like, oh, who do you like offensive line? And I was like, I honestly don't know, because the only time you hear a guy's name is when they did something bad. They either gave a penalty or what the announcers thought they gave up a sack, which may or may not be that guy's fault, but they still attribute to him. And other than that, you never really hear like, oh, this was a great double team block that made this happen. I don't think that's ever been, mentioned in a broadcast. So, and there's no film of it. There's no film to watch and say, hey, listen, I'm going to zero in on this left guard for this game and see how he's doing. Impossible. You can't do it.
Come on, Nick. Our mantra is overworked and underappreciated, man.
Of course, and I want appreciation for my guys.
Yeah, but for me, I think what Trent Williams is doing out in San Francisco, he's just a beast, destroying guys out there on the edge. And then the guard with the Colts, Nelson, when he's healthy, man, he is a beast, man. He gets on guys pretty good. So I kind of watch those two guys. It's fun, but I'm with Nick, man. Let's get an O-line camera so guys could actually see what's going on in the trenches.
Even a little picture-in-picture just at the bottom of your screen where it's like it's focused on the offensive line. You still have the big screen for everyone that wants to watch where the ball is going. But the idiots that want to watch the big guys like myself, I want a little screen where I can see what those guys are doing.
We're gonna petition for that, man. They got like 100 cameras at games already. What's one more to spotlight the O-line and what goes on? So
thank you.
Hey, this is week 6 of Big Man Bets. We're just starting our impact on the football world, and maybe this will be the one that breaks through. I think you guys are absolutely, you're out here for the people. People got to see what's going on up front. Let's make our picks, y'all. 2-1, both of you last week. So Orlando, you're 6-7 on the year. Nick is 8-5. You both knocked out Tennessee for your picks of the week. Congratulations. Nick, you hit on your upset. Orlando, you missed on the Niners. And your over-unders, you played the Denver, Pittsburgh, and Cleveland Chargers game. But let's start off with pick of the week here, week 6. And, of course, for all your gambling needs, go to WynnBET, which will give you the best place to find your odds. WYNNBET.com. Nick, let's start with you. Pick of the week.
As the champion so far, obviously I get to go first, and I appreciate that. 8-5, just making people money. All right, so pick of the week is, for me, I'm looking at this one. Baltimore is coming off a crazy game. Comeback, I think it was 19 points in the fourth quarter. There's raw emotion to that. They're riding high. They're going to continue to ride high against a Chargers team that's coming to Baltimore. 1 o'clock game, West Coast team coming to the East Coast. Usually struggle a little bit. I think Baltimore is still riding high from that game. They're going to try to build on that and say, hey, listen, we don't need to put ourselves in that position where we're down so many points and have to come back. Let's just win it from the get-go. They're going to do that against the Chargers. Baltimore -3.
Nice. For my pick of the week, although Nick thinks I shade the Cowboys all the time, I am feeding the Dallas Cowboy fans this week, and I'm going with the Dallas Cowboys +3.5 over the New England Patriots. I think they've been rolling high. They've been playing really, really awesome defense as long, and Dak Prescott's been playing really good at the start of the year. So look for those guys to continue their run, and I am feeding the Cowboy fans. I'm giving this to you guys this week.
It's a good pick. It's a good pick.
On the road, Dallas in New England. Not a lot of faith in the Patriots these days. All right, as we go from pick of the week to our favorite, the upset of the week. Orlando, you're up first on that.
Yeah, I think Detroit gets their first win. I don't want to see Dan Campbell cry anymore in pressers. So I think this is my upset of the week. They've been having some heartbreaking losses week in and week out with their field goals and all this, man. And I don't want to see Dan Campbell. He's been an emotional wreck. He's high, he's low. He's been all over the place. So let's get his first win, and it may be tears of joy.
I like it. All right, so I'm going back across the pond, Jacksonville versus Miami. Jacksonville, now that Gruden's in the spotlight, everyone's forgotten about Urban. It's another conspiracy theory. Think about it. And so I think Jacksonville, having a lot of experience over in London, will defeat the Miami Dolphins. They're plus 3.5 right now. So I'm taking the Jacksonville Jaguars to go to London and get the win.
All right, and last one, we'll do our over-unders. I actually want to follow up on that Dan Campbell comment in a second, but let me get your over-unders here. We'll wrap up with Campbell today. Nick, you got an over-under play?
Of course. So I'm sitting here. I went under last week, and I hated it, but I went with it, and it failed. So I'm back to the overs. I've got the Browns versus the Cardinals. These two offenses just know how to score points. They're going to continue to score points. Right now it's set at 49.5, and I am taking the over for that game.
Just ticked up to 50 on WinBet. Orlando?
You know what? I'm taking the same game, but I'm going a different route. I'm going the under on that game. It'll be a more tight battle. So I'm trying to gain some ground on Nick, man. This is a perfect way. Same game. I'm just going under with it. So that's it.
Head to head. I like it.
That's excellent strategy. All right, so let's wrap up with this. Your head coach, you lose another tough game. The Lions have lost some of the worst games we've ever seen in the history of the NFL this year. You're still winless, and your coach is up there, and he's crying at the podium. Do you like him more, or do you thinking like, okay, that's a little too much, and that's not the guy I want leading us?
I wouldn't mind it, but his antics about the 2 cups of Starbucks earlier in the year and all this, rah-rah, you kind of lose. Once you start losing games, you start losing the guys a little bit with the emotion. Is this guy real, or is this part of the presser? Whatever. There's some tough games. There's no real crying over losing a regular season NFL game. Although it's been a tough guy, you want your guy to stand up there and say, hey, we're going to win next week. So
it all depends on what he is, when the cameras aren't around. If this isn't the first time he's cried, then I don't think anyone on the team has a problem with it. If this is the first time, like if he's been, that go hard coach the whole time, and all of a sudden he's going to cry in front of the cameras, you're going to think, you're like, maybe a little bit of a show. But if he's been doing this all along, then I don't think anyone in that locker room cares.
I play for Dick Vermeil. He cried every single day with the team meeting almost. So if he ever cried on television, it was no surprise to us. We still rallied around him. So, but that was him every day. He cried. If he cut a player, he cried. So that was it. That was Dick Vermeil.
Mm-hmm. Would he cry in front of the whole room?
The whole room, absolutely, absolutely. He would cry in front of the entire room, and it was genuine. We thought the first time, like, it's like, but the 5th time, it's like, okay, this is who he is. So,
any coaches that cried around you, Nick, or were that you devoid of emotion in your coaching career?
No, with Rex, we definitely had emotion, and I assume he cried at some point. I may have been crying because he was so mad that he had just had to force out tears to kind of slow himself down. But I don't remember like a full ball session, with crocodile tears going. But yeah, there was probably crying involved with Rex. I mean, there was everything with Rex. So if something happened in the locker room with the head coach, you can count on I saw it with Rex.
Emotions are good. That's the message here as we close up week 6 of Big Man Bets. Gentlemen, good luck with the picks. Great to see you this week, and enjoy the football, and we'll see you next Wednesday.